Hi guys. We've been working on building icons using various techniques, Pathfinder, Shape Builder, etc. Let's create a grid template in Adobe Illustrator based on the material design specifications set out by Google. And we can use this file whenever we need to build icons, and it will help us be more accurate and work more quickly. So let's jump to Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to press Command-N for a new document. I'm going to choose the web profile, and we want our document to be 256 pixels by 256 pixels. Okay, this is simply the size that I like to work at. 256 is a standard icon size. I'm going to go ahead and click Create. And the first thing we want to do here is press M for the rectangle tool, and then let's set our stroke and fill. So I'm going to go to the stroke pane. Let's set that to 0.2 of a point. It's going to be very fine. Let's set the color to magenta. And we'll set the fill to none. Okay. We're going to travel up to the top left corner here. Okay, we're going out into our document. Top left corner, Smart Guides is on. So it's telling me that I'm at the intersection point of that corner. The easy thing to do here is just click. What I really want, guys, is a square that's exactly the size of my canvas. We know the canvas is 256 by 256. So let's create this square by a coordinate. Click once, and I can enter in 256 by 256, and then click OK. So I've got a square that's the exact size of my canvas with a 0.2 point of a stroke, and it should have a fill of none. It gave it a fill of white for some reason. Okay, now I want to draw a horizontal line and a vertical line. So let's switch over to the line tool. I'm going to travel to the middle there at the intersection point. Hold Option and Shift. Option to draw from the center out, and Shift to constrain that to a perfect horizontal line. Okay, and the distance is 256 pixels as the heads-up display tells me. Perfect. I'm going to let go. I'm going to travel back to that intersection point at the center, hold Option and Shift, drag top to bottom this time, same thing, go right to 256 pixels. Then I'll go right back to the middle one more time, hold Option and Shift. This time I'm going to drag on a 45-degree angle. So the Shift key is going to constrain me to exactly 45 degrees. And we'll do one the other way as well. Hold Option and Shift, and drag right out. Okay, we've added a few things to our document. Maybe we should save it. So I'm going to press Command S, and let's just give this a file name. I'm going to call this Bowman Icon Grid 256 by 256. And we'll save that to our desktop, just as a standard Adobe Illustrator file. Okay. Next, let's switch over to our ellipse tool. I'm going to travel right back to that center point. I'm going to hold Option and click once. And I want an ellipse that's 256 pixels by 256 pixels. Okay, I could have drawn it, but I chose to enter it in by a coordinate. Then I'll press M to give myself the rectangle tool. What I'm going to do is travel up to this intersection point. So Smart Guides is telling me I'm right at that intersection point, so I'm going to click and hold Shift and drag down to the lower right until I intersect there as well. Then I'm going to travel back to the center point, go back to the ellipse tool. I'm going to click. I'm going to hold Option and then click and drag. Add Shift so it's a perfect circle. And I'm going to drag that right out like so. And then we have one more square to do. Back to the rectangle tool, so that's M. Let's go back to the center. Hold Option and Shift. And let's drag out a square. And inside of this square, we want another circle, so L. Draw from the center out, hold Option and Shift. And we're going to drag out a circle. And we want one more circle on the inside, so I'm going to Option click, and that's going to be 64 pixels by 64 pixels. Now we're almost done. We're going to grab our selection tool, guys. We're going to select the vertical line and the horizontal line. We're going to travel up to the object menu. We're going to scamper down to path and then offset path. And we want to offset that by 64 points. And you can see that that center line vertically and the center line horizontally are creating a new one. Right out to here, it intersects here, 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 and here. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And that is my grid. Now I'm going to zoom right into the center. I want to make sure that all that stuff lines up evenly, and it looks like it is, but I'm going to zoom back by pressing Command 0. If yours doesn't, or you're not 100% sure, what we can do is do a Command A to select everything, and then just come over to the Align area of the Properties panel, and we can align it on its vertical and horizontal centers. Okay, mine didn't move because I was drawing very accurately. Next, I think what I'll do is I'm going to change the opacity to 50%. So those magenta lines aren't as loud, and then I'll just press Command G to group all of that. That looks good. I'm going to press Command S to save my file. And then I'm just going to zoom back a little bit by pressing Command minus. Let's call that layer something clever like grid. And what I'd like to do, guys, this is just a single artboard, right? But what I'd like to do is create maybe 6 artboards and arrange them up on my page. That's easy to do. Down here is our Artboard tool. And the reason I haven't locked the grid layer is because I want to duplicate the artboard along with the contents. So everything's unlocked. I'm going to hold Option and Shift, drag an artboard to the right. That's one way of duplicating an artboard. We could also use the Artboard panel. So I'm going to undo that by pressing Command Z. Let's go to the window menu and we'll come down to Artboards. Okay. I could just highlight Artboard 1, click here, and choose Duplicate Artboard. And then I could choose Duplicate Artboard again, and again, and again, and one more time. So I think I have 6 there, which is what I wanted. Now I'd like to arrange them a little differently. I'd like a little more space between my artboards, and I'd like to have 3 and then 3. So we can do that as well. If I select all of the artboards here, I can click on this little button, and that allows me to rearrange the artboards and control the gutter between each artboard. So let's click on this. And I would like 3 columns of artboards, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. But I'd like a little more space than 20 pixels. I'm going to set that to 40 pixels. And I want to make sure I check off Move Artwork with Artboard. Click OK. I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this down for now. Okay, so we'll just click the little padlock there. Let's add a new layer. We'll call that layer Artwork. Now, the artboard names are important and they will come into play as we start building our icons. But right now, let's save the file. And what we could do, guys, is every time we wanted to work on some icons, we could just duplicate this file, right? Open it up and then just start building. The problem is it's an Adobe Illustrator file and we might accidentally overwrite our blank document that we're sort of using as a template. So we have another option. We can actually save this as an Adobe Illustrator template, and the behavior of that file is a little bit different. If I press Command Option S, that's the same as going to the File menu and choosing Save As. All I'm going to do is change the format from AI to Illustrator Template. The extension changes to AIT for Adobe Illustrator Template. Who'd have thunk, right? I'm going to click save it on the desktop, and then I'll close. So if I open this file, it's going to open as Bowman Icon Grid 256 by 256. If I open the template file, however, it's an identical document. However, it's named Untitled. So I can't overwrite that template. So I could go ahead and do my icon work here and then save my file and not worry about overwriting that master template file that I created. Okay, so that's it for this screencast. In the next one, we are going to start building some icons and using this grid to help us be accurate and consistent. So that's coming up next.